This is a pivotal moment in medicine. Messenger RNA is like biological software. You can write the code for a protein very rapidly. And then all you need to do is get it into the cell, and the cell will do the rest. The success of the RNA vaccines for COVID is just the tip of the iceberg. Any infectious disease where immunotherapy is useful, RNA vaccines will be useful. RNA vaccines for cancer are also under investigation and, in fact, in clinical trials. But over time, as we become better at delivering the RNA to where it is needed, we can make therapeutic proteins for the heart, for the brain, for the liver, for all the organs in the body. The promise of RNA therapeutics is almost limitless.
The central mission of the Center for RNA Therapeutics is to produce RNA therapies that make life-changing interventions in human health. We designed our center as a place where our scientists can use the world-class facilities here at Houston Methodist to truly take their basic science research concept and move it toward the clinic.
What I like to think we're doing is democratizing RNA therapeutics. Someone with a great idea, a small company with a great idea about RNA therapeutics, needs some help in the synthesis, purification, validation of the RNA, loading it into lipid nanoparticles, GLP animal studies, first-in-man clinical trials. We can do that here.
Innovation is where everything begins. We have an innovation lab here, but that is somewhat of a misnomer because the innovation lab is not a place or a space. It's the group of scientists that we have brought together to improve RNA therapeutics by improving the way we design RNA therapies to make them more translatable within cells, or by designing brand new novel ways to either make or deliver RNA therapies.
As the designers and manufacturers of the RNA, we are the problem solvers. People from academia or from private companies come to us, they say, hey, we have a great idea for the RNA-based therapy, but we're not quite sure how to make this work. We look into the problem that they have, we design the RNA construct, and then we can manufacture that RNA using our proprietary manufacturing protocols. Then after that, we test the RNA that we manufacture for the purity, integrity, and strength.
One of the biggest challenges in RNA therapeutics is actually the delivery of the RNA. It needs a vehicle. It needs particles, as we call nanoparticles, that help them to arrive and do their specific job. The good part of the Center for RNA Therapeutics is that there's a lot of different expertise that converge in the same center, and these allow us to interact daily, even if you go for a coffee, and you can speak about the last idea that you have. And this, I think, is the uniqueness of the center inside an institution like this and inside a hospital as well.
The other practical advantage of being physically associated with this hospital is that it's a big hospital system, over 1 million patient visits a year. So that gives us the opportunity to do clinical trials. In my department alone, we're doing 200 clinical trials a year.
The regulatory process to take a novel therapeutic to first-in-human is extremely complex, and typically researchers aren't educated on what that pathway looks like. One of the things that our institution is doing is developing that pathway so we can teach our researchers how to more efficiently move down the pathway and avoid the pitfalls that typically prove fatal to projects trying to go to translation for first-in-human.
I was among the first employers here within the center. We were dreamers. And now, of course, with the RNA vaccines against COVID, everybody started talking about the RNA.
My team and I are so excited to be at this magical moment in medicine. I think of this as being similar to the advent of recombinant proteins 30 years ago. This is a wonderful moment where we can make a huge difference in the treatment of disease.